Hello and welcome to week 17 of Britball, the Breens, the penultimate week of the regular season. As you can see, it's just myself and Sean tonight. No one wanted to come and join us. So it's just the two of us to go through this week's games. How are you doing, Sean?
Well, obviously, I'm not on my laptop today. Chris will be leading the show today because I forgot to take it with me. I'm in somebody else's house at the moment, so I played golf today. Absolutely roasting, a little bit red in the face. Other than that, everything's good. I didn't have work's been busy for both of us again this week, so we've just not had a chance to reach out and get guests. At least this week we've got 3 players of the week contenders. We've got a good game of the week, so everything looks good. Hopefully, it should be fine going forward.
Yeah, and you just know by the fact that you mentioned that we played golf today that poor Chris has currently been triggered down in Oxford. thinking we're probably still having a go at him, but no, we actually did play golf ourselves today.
Yeah, it was
not on a Sunday though, not on a game day.
Yeah, you wouldn't miss a game for a game of golf. That's a different story.
No, absolutely. We have comments already. Evening, Dad. And we've got Russell. Evening, Russell. So there is obviously a few games this week. There are implications for a lot of them. And I think there should be some interesting matchups this week. So we'll get stuck into those pretty much as soon as we can, I guess, because normally this is the point where we would speak to a guest, ask them about their team. But
there wasn't anything weird or wonderful come up from anything this week, was there? From Bafa or from?
Well, I mean, there is one thing, and I don't know anything about it, and that's kind of the problem. Regarding the women's opening game of the Worlds in Finland, it's not going ahead now, and I'm not entirely sure why. I've seen somebody commenting, but I don't know if that was pure rumor, pure speculation, or whether it was true, something to do with the Mexican team not even getting across to play. So I honestly don't know what's happened with it, but it's obviously disappointing for the GB ladies. That their first game, they're getting ready for it, and it's not happened. So, or it won't be happening rather. So it'd be interesting to see what comes out of that. But yeah, obviously unfortunate for the ladies across there. Probably geared up for the first game of the World Championships, and kind of it just be hard to kind of come back down from that, I guess, and just dialing out again that there's not actually going to be a game.
Yeah, I guess we don't know the ins and outs, but it doesn't sound like it was a good situation online. But yeah, it's just disappointing, is it? For particularly because most of the games, there's minimal games every year, so prepare yourself for a game and then for it not to happen. But I guess there's a lot of teams in Britball know exactly how that feels this year.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I have heard this rumor, Ryan. I didn't hear anything official about this. Is the crew game not going ahead? Is that the case? The crew league game, is that not going ahead this week? If you could get back to us, because I had heard it might not be, but I've also heard all sorts this week, so God knows what actually isn't true at this point.
See if you put Russell's photo back up. This was my stance trying to see if I could get my shot through the trees earlier.
That was my stance after walking up the first hill on the golf course.
To be fair, the first hill's a brutal one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it rumored that Crew? Is it rumored that Crew aren't playing their final 2 games?
So I don't know much about the ins and outs of this, but I had heard this. But I believe Crew had made some sort of stance earlier on in the year that if there wasn't going to be any officials, they were not going to play any more games. I don't know if that's what this is or what. I know you've also said it's due to no officials being available, but again, we would need to hear from them. I mean, we've heard nothing about it since. What I would like from a team, I guess, if they're in that situation, if they've made that decision, then fair enough. But I would like them to come out in each game and say, as stated earlier, we said we weren't going to play if there's no officials. There's no officials again this week, so we will be refusing to take the field. But I'm not sure, so I don't really know. Yeah, I've heard this as well. Yeah, so it does sound an awful lot like they're kind of sticking to their guns of if there's no referees, we ain't playing. But I don't know for sure the ins and outs of it, and I wouldn't. The thing is, it would be easy for me to sit here and just guess and throw mud, but I don't know, so I wouldn't like to just guess and
They still get to go in the scumbag section.
I'd have to find them first. I don't know where they are.
I think the thing is, like, I kind of agree with them, because like I do understand it becomes a safety risk. I know that it's very easy to get injured, and that's my whole problem with the game being the fact that some people just turn up now and again and they can't be bothered and they want to just go out for a few pints afterwards, and that's great. But the problem is, in this game, you need 11 people to function as a group. And if one guy is that guy that just can't be bothered and doesn't turn up to training and that, then you can get hurt. So I can understand that if it's just people that are level ones, which, let's be honest, you don't need to be a genius to pass. I can understand where their stance is, that they might be concerned about people getting hurt. But if it's just a case of they're like in the last game of the season, they just don't want to play it, then that's a bit off. But
yeah, I mean, it is a difficult balance because I've seen Warwick is here and he's already off and running. But like if they made a statement saying they were not going to play games with no officials, and if that is what they're sticking to, then I'm not going to criticize them for that. No. I've been on the sideline watching coaches officiate, and for lack of a better expression, it's fucking painful. All right. I mean, we had a guy in a unnamed game where the referee on the opposite sideline was literally celebrating sacks and tackles. Like,
yeah.
What are you meant to do with that? You know what I mean? But yeah, and I think that's the thing. Yeah, it certainly sounds a lot like that. Again, sort of. Thanks for sort of chiming in, Ryan, with what you're saying. Yeah, it certainly sounds like they made that decision as a group and they decided they weren't going to play any games if they didn't have officials. And again, as I say, I can't really criticize them for that. No. They said early on that's what they were going to do, and if that's what they're doing, then that's what they've made as a decision as a team. So
I see.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I feel for Lee and I feel for the Surge.
Yeah.
They're missing out on games, and that isn't right. But ultimately, it's it boils down to what an absolute shambles it's been from start to finish this year.
Did I see this week as well that a Division 1 game's had its refs pulled to go cover a Prem game?
Vikings against Inverclyde.
Is that the one? I thought it was.
I don't know if that's the one that's been. I don't know if that's the one that's been pulled, but Vikings Inverclyde has no refs.
I think there's one down south that's been pulled. The refs have been pulled to cover a Prem game, which is weird because there's only 18 games this week, so it's not like we're overloaded.
Yeah.
Actually, there'll only be 17 games this week if Crew and Lee aren't playing. So
the thing is, as well, though, is like as we said, there was already. How we go? There's Warwick. The Sussex one, is that what it is, right? And who were they?
Essex.
Not East Essex. Essex Spartans. Yeah, and like Essex, Sussex. Yeah, there's a lot of in that those two teams. Yeah, I appreciate you may well be wrong on that one, Warwick, but we'll take your word for it because I assume you probably aren't. Yeah. it's one of those. The thing is, it's like it's all right, well and good to say, we only have 18, 17 games this week, but then it depends where the games are. Are they all close together? If they're all close together, then you're relying on the same group of officials. Similarly, I'm pretty sure they've got holidays too as well. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, it's one of those where we're just so tired of it now. I think that you just want to get to the end of the season. And interestingly, I shared with you a thread this morning where a well-known individual made the claim that BAFA haven't been making any of the big decisions this year because they didn't want to upset people. And I can honestly say about died of laughter because he's clearly not aware that we had a big, a letter written in about an EGM as well as a town hall that basically was the teams complaining about how upset they were at all the big decisions that BAFA had got wrong. So, yeah, some people are still living under a rock, I guess.
Yeah, it is Essex. Sussex.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it is kind of the same thing I'm saying, Ryan. It sucks for the Surge, and it sucks for you guys. And you know what? It sucks for the Crew Railroaders. But if they made that decision as a team and they chose to stick by it, then that's what they've done. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter whether we agree with it or not, or whether other teams agree with it. We shouldn't have ever been put in that position. If that's the decision they came to, then that's the decision they came to.
Yeah. What happened to shirts v skins?
Nobody wants to see that, though. They're trying to get people to come down and watch. I've got no interest in seeing shirts v skins. I have seen the Britball community. That is the last thing I want to see.
It'd be sore with a kit on, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah. One of these things.
Yeah, and it is like, I think, the thought was that maybe Crew were just sort of shite bagging the rest of the season, but I think when you look a bit deeper, I don't think that's the case. I think they've kind of made their mind up. And that's
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, they have the right to make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the latest in the world of BAFA, I guess. There's not too much new going on this week. Which, to be honest, is a relief, because normally when something new happens, it's just making things worse. I mean, I can't. I'm not really sure what's going on with that one. I seen the post, prior from Crew, but yeah, pass. I don't know. Coach tackling better, I guess. So we'll kind of just crack on. As I say, we've got now 17 games this week, which isn't that many, but we'll just sort of horse through with them. But I think first, it's normally play of the week first, isn't it? I'm so used to not being on the other side of it.
It's the slide first.
Oh, right. Fair enough. I'll do my best.
I don't think we have anybody in the scumbag section this week, so. But the slideshow, I think, will show what's going on. I don't think we'll have any issues with it this week. But play of the week and game of the week should be on that slideshow. So we play of the week, then game of the week, and then into the fixtures.
I will do my best with my singular screen and my really, really, really terrible laptop.
Yeah.
To kind of do the best I can. So you should say
your laptop doesn't plug in, does it?
Oh, look at StreamYardception.
There's the link as well. Folk will be jumping into the link.
So I'm assuming you can see this, right?
Can, yeah.
Because I can't see. Yeah, nothing's moved out of the Fallen. Yeah, I mean, as I say, it'd be tempting to move Crew into the scumbag move, but we don't know the full ins and outs of it, I guess.
No.
And no one. Oh, actually, do you know what?
Tell the story.
hold on. There's 100% somebody going in the scumbag section this week. Where's the Prem teams?
It's London Olympians, get that O in the scumbag section.
In the scumbag section, yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that is not aware, why is it going over there?
It always goes over.
If in case they didn't read up on it, the London Olympians made the after putting out one of the most like sad, belittling Instagram posts about their upcoming game against the London Warriors, which beggared belief in itself. Then proceeded to travel to the London Warriors with 17 players, arrived there with 17 players, and then went, nah, and decided not to play the game.
So yeah, you get scumbag section for that.
I mean, the thing is, though, it's like this comes back to an old argument as well, right? I mean, everyone literally sits there and wants to rip out of like Division 2 teams or whatnot, but this is a Prem team forfeiting a game, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have done this to the London Warriors before. Probably going to get myself Poppelhoff for that one, but yeah, and it's absolutely embarrassing, right? Did we not also have the Sussex Thunder? They pulled out of a game as well, didn't they? Was that this week or was that the week before?
No, they played the Cats the week before, didn't they?
Was there not something about them having? Was there not something about them
them
having 21 players and pulling out of the game and they got absolutely rip roasted?
Was that last week?
I thought it was last week. Yeah.
Someone said, "Oh, maybe it was. It was maybe it was Sussex." We had them in the scumbag section last week, though.
Yeah, because it came out before the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you're going to cancel, right? If you are going to forfeit, and let's face it, as a Prem team, forfeiting is just the absolute worst. Like, get all the way back to associate status if you're going to forfeit Prem games. But if you're going to forfeit these games, don't wait until game day and turn up with 17 guys. It's just shithousery of the highest degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, make the decision, let the opposition know if that's how you're choosing to conduct yourself. But travel into the game and then deciding 17 is not enough to play the game, nah, I'm sorry, not for me. So they can. I mean, I'm going to make that bigger. I don't think it doesn't do it justice. Absolutely do not agree with that in any way, shape, or form.
No, agreed.
But anyway, on a more positive note, sorry, what were you going to say?
Before you go into this, no word of a lie, folks. Today, we booked our golf session through an app. Now, that app can pair you up with other people. So we're obviously the Breens, and we got paired up with the Cools.
Unfortunately for us, the Cools refused to play alongside two people they didn't know and ruined the chance of the Cool Breens going around the golf course together.
They were too cool for us.
And do you know what? Quite frankly, do you know what? Actually, if you can type in here, Cools. Let's stick them in there and just move the Olympians out of the way a little bit. Yeah, let's stick for ruining the absolute dream that the Cools they can go in the scumbag section as well. They asked us if we were okay with it. We said absolutely, and they also asked the Cools, and they decided they didn't want to play with us. So absolute shithousery of the highest degree. If you are commenting on them, I will, on anything, I will get to you. But obviously, I've only got one screen, so I can't see them at the moment. So I'll get to them at some point after we've sort of closed the presentation down.
Yeah.
Anyway, outside of the Olympians and the Cools being scumbags, let's go on to our Week 17 Play of the Week. So we had a couple of submissions in. We had a pretty spectacular interception. We had a trick play and a really nice play from the Manchester Titans, I guess, but some absolutely atrocious defensive back play. So I think we'll start with the Titans one. Can you see that? Has that come up all right?
Yeah. It'd just be beware. Chris' laptop does not like playing stuff, so this might be a bit jerky.
beef jerky. It's not even playing at the moment. It's just sitting there. Is it going to let me do it again?
It should do. Wow, your laptop really does suck.
It does suck. It's a terrible laptop. I wonder if I just
Is it
have
not
to.
loading?
I wonder if I just have to reopen it.
Yeah,
And
probably.
try. Oh, there we go. Ception again.
It's all Chris's American football
Rubbish,
defense, beatings
basically.
people, meetings.
I can't even see it. I don't think I saved it onto my desktop.
How did you not?
No.
It'll be in downloads, will it not? Right click on your folder.
No, it's not. It'll just be in my emails. Don't particularly want to open those up, to be honest. I'll do the other ones first, then I might have to unshare and share again.
You can do that.
Right. I don't know if this is going to work. The last time I tried to do the play of the week through my account, it freaked out a little bit. So I'm not sure if we're going to get anywhere, to be honest.
If not, I'll try and post them on the Instagram later.
Is this playing at all for you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a bit jerky, but it is playing.
So this was the interception by the Solent Thrashers against the Bristol Aztecs. Bit of a late throw. I feel like if the quarterback let it go earlier, he had him open. But it's an unbelievable vertical, great adjustment and coming down the ball with the back in the end zone. Again, I don't know how well you're seeing this because it's probably really choppy.
No, it's running all right. Yeah, I think here you can clearly see the QB's going through his reads. But yeah, half a second earlier, and this is probably a touchdown. But yeah, it's a ridiculous vertical to go up and get that.
It's an unbelievable vertical, but what you actually see is the quarterback clearly tries to flatten this out to stop the safety getting across. But what that does is puts the defensive back in play, and allows him to make what is still an unbelievable grab. He gets ridiculous height, great grab, gets his feet in bounds before he goes out the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
So that was thoroughly enjoyable. That one was, and I think if I go into this, I believe the Bristol Aztecs one was sent to me as well, somewhere.
You need to see the hook and ladder play.
This is a hook and ladder play, which, soothes my old grumpy soul. I love stuff like this. Admittedly, probably not the cleanest hook and ladder I've ever seen, but yeah, gets to the sideline, breaks a couple of tackles, breaks several tackles actually, and gets all the way to the opposite side of the field. Yeah,
he gets in from there.
No, he doesn't. He gets stopped on the sideline.
So wait, see, how in God's name does he get in from that initial pass?
Yeah, Coach Gibbs did follow up by saying there was 50 yards of penalty afterwards. I don't know whether that was because of the play or because of any nonsense that followed. But yeah, I love the fact that you're in a 0-0 game, you go to the back of the playbook and try and find something, and that's what they went to. So, absolute props for even going to that. I absolutely loved it.
Got some moves.
Some decent. There's also there's a couple of decent blocks end up getting laid out downfield as well, which is great to see. But no, so overall, two quite enjoyable plays from the same game. I'm going to unshare this for a minute, and I'm going to try and open this back up. But before I do, I'm going to go to the comments. Yeah, Aaron's he beat us to it, the London O's. Yeah, and this is the thing, Russell. This is one thing we spoke about as well. Like, when I raised this as a concern with someone involved at Bafra at the start of the season and got pelted with abuse for it, I got told that their record was 95% coverage, and I'll guarantee that is just not even close to the coverage they've had this year. They said something like there was only like 3 or 4 games in previous years that were actually due to Bafra having no refs in the previous year in 2019 or something. But that's just not been the case this year, and I think the number will be quite high. And the thing with forfeits is, I think if anyone can find this out, it'll be our man Popov. He'll find out for us. But I think in 2019 there was maybe like 3 forfeits, because I think it was one of Ouse Valley Colchester. I think they forfeited in 2019.
Yes,
I
one of
don't
them.
know which one.
It was Ouse Valley, I think, because
Was it?
Colchester finished out the season. Or no, was it Colchester and then they beat Ouse Valley in the last game? I can't. You're right enough. It was one of those two, I think.
And I think there's a couple others. I mean, you could include the fact that Carlisle were supposed to be in the season and shite-bagged it before the season started, I guess. But I think there was 1 or 2 more, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure Crew have topped that number alone this year. And then you've obviously got the Sauce, and then you've got Swindon. Who else? There's been a few others this year. So those, yeah, obviously. Sussex. There's been more. There has been more. Oh, Southeast Squadron, Pumas.
Yeah.
But
South Links Lightning.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. I wasn't 100% sure. Do you know who it is I'm thinking of? I think it was Rushmore, possibly. Did they not take a tactical forfeit when they were not Rushmore?
And then played XLs the week after.
No, I don't know if it was the X. I don't think it was that year, because the red yellow card system was in that year. Or it was a couple of years before. They weren't Rushmore at the time. They were Farnham Knights, and I believe it was Farnham that were meant to be playing like the Warriors, and then like a relegation game the week after, and they forfeited against the Warriors to be fresh for the relegation battle the next week, which is just because that was before the yellow red card system came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we know.
Yes. Go back to pre-season shows. Yeah, we've been saying that the whole time. Yeah, Monarchs and Apache, correct, that one as well. So there's been a lot. Right, I am going to try and open up this video and see if I can get it for you for our last play. I know I kind of went off on a tangent there. Let's see if I can get it to work. Weird that the 2 on Twitter worked, but the one on my desktop did not. But what do
I thought you said it was in your emails.
It was, but I've opened it up now.
All right.
Right. Turn that off. Let's try this again. I apologize for this, but unfortunately I am having a nightmare.
His laptop doesn't connect to another screen, which doesn't help.
Right. Can we see this?
Yes.
Oh, God. That is very much in the way. Let's see if it's going to play. So you're watching the wide receiver down at this side. I want to say he's number 17, but that could just as easily be 37. I have no idea. And yeah, I mean, as lovely as this little fake is from him, it's absolutely minging defensive back play across the board. So he runs a little hitch and go, bites, and he's wide open and walking into the end zone. Yeah, and that was kind of all she wrote. It's again, I don't know how well you've seen that, but
no, it works.
As I say, he comes out, he runs a lot. It's not even the best hitch. I'm not going to lie. Like there wasn't a huge amount in the sell of the actual route, but he sold it with the hands, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best defensive display, I guess, on that side. But it's yet another Manchester touchdown. I must admit, this is one of the best uni combo games I think we've seen this year as well. By the way, the all greys from the Wolves and the blue and white from the Titans was pretty slick all across the board. So, big fan, by the way.
Mm-hmm. So we've got 3, and there's obviously two of us here again. So you want to pick first?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there is only one answer. Like, yes, I love the hook and ladder play because of the play that it is and the situation it's called, but it is also riddled with some really bad tackling downfield. And yeah, okay, from the interception standpoint, the ball is underthrown, but he has to make an incredible adjustment. He whips the hips round, high points the ball, and then gets his feet down in bounds. I think it's an incredibly athletic play, and it's for me, it's an obvious answer.
Yeah, I think the thing is here is you're right. Like the DB play is poor against Manchester. I actually spoke to Sam this week about that, and I was like, if you're the DB there, you can't be biting on that. And I know that the Titans do a lot of shorter stuff, but you can't bite on that hard and expect it to be a good outcome.
But I think the thing for me with it though is like because the fake isn't so that hard. Like his reaction time on the defensive backside is really slow as well. Like he almost breaks forward as the Titans players already starting to take off downfield.
Yeah.
I found it really weird, but
yeah, I mean it was a good throw, good catch, and he sold it out obviously enough. But I mean, see if it had been 83's play just by himself, then I think that would be in for a shout of being the best player. It's actually like hook and ladder. It's more like hook and rugby throw.
hook and ladder. It was quite a long way. That's why when I said like I didn't feel like it was the best executed one in the world because there was quite a length of a toss there.
Yeah,
and it put him straight back into trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
you're supposed to draw them away so that when you toss it, he's got room up the outside. Watch Boise State against Oklahoma because it's an absolutely amazing one.
You have to, but like the point is that the receiver is running right past the guy that catches the hook, so it's a quick dump off, and then he's already at full speed. Like that's giving him an extra 5 yards to come up in the defense to adjust. So for me, you're right. I think the play, the defenders there, it isn't a horrendous throw by the QB.
It's a good completion to a hook.
Yeah, the height he gets on the play is really, really good. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the best play this week is for the Solent Thrashers DB getting up and taking that ball down. So that'll be our play of the week, I guess.
Cool, unanimous. There we go. 2 out of 2. But, and I'm fairly sure if I had a guest that agree with us.
Yeah.
Next is on to our game of the week. Now, this is our game of the week for kind of a couple of reasons. First of all, the Nottingham Caesars have had a bit of a resurgence. They then beat the Chester Romans, whose offense seems to have stuttered a little bit. And ultimately, if the Caesars can best the Falcons here, they'll take the place of the Romans in the playoffs. So massive implications when it comes to playoff football. Now, we didn't know how the Falcons would suffer with their quarterback getting signed into the ELF for the Surge, the Stuttgart Surge. I think it's a good sign that they went out last week and put up 49 or whatever it was against Shropshire. Because it would have been extremely worrying if they'd went into that game and won by like 28. And I know Shropshire haven't won a game, and I know Shropshire are relegated, but that is one of those games that could have easily been a bit of a nightmare. I think the flip side to this as well is if the playoffs are done as you discussed last week, which is stupid, and I'll stand by that, rigorously, but then the Falcons, obviously a loss could potentially knock them out of the number 1 seed. So yeah, there's a lot riding on this game, and it's a humongous game. Nottingham are getting better at the right time. Leicester have been consistently good all year. For me, I still think Leicester have too much. I think this one's going to be tight. I really, really think this is going to be tight. And I think that Nottingham defense is going to come to play.
Well, the thing is here, so I think it was 21-7 when Nottingham were at home. So I think Leicester won 21-7. Obviously, they'll have had their QB then. He's no there. I did get a message or two, actually, saying that Leicester didn't have a big squad last week and still managed to put up 50 points on Shropshire. But the biggest battle here is trenches. If Nottingham cannot match Leicester in the trenches, it's not going to matter. Like, Leicester don't need to be able to pass the ball if they can run it for 6 yards of play.
Yeah.
But if Nottingham have the guys in place to match Leicester in the trenches, then it'll be interesting to see if they can scheme and get their skill players involved enough to do Leicester some damage. Now, as you say, Leicester are at home. They might have been saving a few players, told them to take a week off last week so they can come in a bit stronger this week. But again, it comes down to the fact of Leicester also might prefer Nottingham. If the playoff goes the way it is, they might prefer to play Nottingham again than play Chester. I can't see it, but it also depends on that. You're right. Again, at the same time, if they lose, they could lose the number 1 seed to East Kilbride Pirates because they won last week. So it's like it's a massive game. The scores here, like on the scorecast here, like there's a lot of people think it's going to be close. A few people think it's going to be an absolute blowout. I've got 51-0 at the Falcons isn't happening.
What I want to know about that is who the hell chooses 51?
A Falcons player.
I mean, that's just... if he wears 51, I'll let him off.
He wears 51.
Fine. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
He's wrong.
So it's obviously just because he's number 51. But yeah, there's a lot of close scores. There's a few that reckon it's a bit one-sided to the Falcons, but I don't think that the Caesars will roll over here. I think like if they match Leicester in the trenches, this will be close. If they don't, Leicester should win this one, no problem. But it is definitely a massive game this week. It's got loads of implications. So Leicester for me.
I think what went into my decision-making process about choosing Leicester as well is they beat Chester and shut down Nottingham beat Chester and shut down their offense. The problem is that a couple of weeks later, the Bulls really shut down Chester's offense.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it does lean to Nottingham clearly improved. I mean, they gave up like 60 points or something in the first game against Chester. I'm not suggesting that, but my gut feeling is that it's more to do with the Chester offense falling off than it is to do with the Nottingham defense sort of being right there to rival Leicester now. Yeah.
So 2 Leicester selections there. Most of the selections are Leicester in the thing. There's a few Nottingham, but yeah, battles in the trenches. It's where it's won and lost.
Cool. Well, I can stop sharing this now.
You can indeed. You can see if there's any comments.
It actually went a lot smoother than I thought. Like last time I tried to share it, it was absolutely broken, and poor Sam was sitting here trying to fill in the blanks while I was away. Try to fix it. Just going to go back through. Nathan, if my computer could cope with dodgy downloads, that'd be a fine thing, to be honest, mate. It just can't. Here we go. Here's the man himself. So 2019, Ouse Valley forfeit against Cats, Carlisle forfeit against Dundee and Clyde Valley, and so Carlisle forfeit the whole shebang. And
should never be allowed to set up a team again.
Well, I see there's another one coming. Another team trying to be established. No, I'm saying about the team that's trying to appear in Cumbria again.
Not Salisbury.
No, you're thinking. I think.
Is that the one that's appearing above like 20 miles outside of Manchester?
No, that's a different one as well. That's a team that call themselves the Raiders, and I believe their logo's a reindeer or something. It's hilarious. But no, Carlisle really shouldn't have a team.
No.
Who can I? Were you at that game? Were you on the game? Were you, Nathan? I mean, to be fair, I always lost, so there's that. See, this was the thing. It's kind of what we were saying. I understand your point, but it looked a bit. It looked like the kind of thing that they clearly had practiced, but had no intentions of using. That was kind of the impression I got off it. But I love the call. Yeah, Pobov says Hugin ladder as well. Yeah, we've got a couple of Falcons picks. Well, that was the score last time, I believe.
Yeah. I said 21-7, I think.
Oh, it must be a Sport Tank cap.
Oh, yeah. No, that. Where's mine?
Yeah. Where's mine?
We're waiting on ours.
Yeah.
We'll see when they get them through. Falcons by 30.
By 30, that's a big call. How can you do seeded playoffs for D1 without cross division games? Make the play. Yeah, but Aaron,
we know.
Aaron, this is what it used to be, and it wasn't broken. I don't know why they've tried to fix it.
Oh, there was someone showed me a message. Someone showed me a message this week. It said it was to try and stop North v North or South v South finals. It doesn't matter if that's the two best teams. It's two best teams. Like, I don't get that. If you've got seeds 1 to 4 across both divisions, and they play each other, and both North teams win and go on to a North final, or both South teams win and go on to South.
The thing is, though, is like, imagine using that logic to the year when every final was the London Warriors against the London Blitz. Nah, we don't want a South v South final, so you basically have a final that's like a 65-point blowout. Ooh, yay! But at least it wasn't South v South.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, just absolutely ludicrous thinking. But it's all fun and games. Week 1 was completely refreshed new players, I think, from you say. So the time we played them again, vastly improved. It's going to be close. And last week it was a Mons. Right, okay. See this. Wait, but I thought all we're hearing about is how hot it is down in England. I thought it was only ever sunny now.
And a massive droughts and everything down there, as I know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but fair enough.
Grant has done a good job of recruiting for Nottingham.
Richard, I 100% acknowledge that I didn't know it was monsoon weather. So yeah, get that. Yeah.
He did actually. No credit to Steve. He gave us a Yeti microphone.
Yeah.
He gave us an expensive one. He did give us one. We have one which I plugged into my computer one time and my computer did not like it. I don't know what it did to it, but it did not like it. But I need to update my computer anyway.
The thing is, as well, is like the mic was when we were just doing this as a little, podcast for the two of us as well. We never thought that we'd develop a little bit of a fan base and do a live show. So and we're now separate as well. So there is that. Look at this! I got one too. My cap came today.
Damn it!
I'm gonna have to message Steve. I'm gonna have to message Steve. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, all this work going in, and we're the ones not getting hoodies. Absolutely shocking. Right. Let's crack on with some of the other games then. Sports tankards. I'd love one of those. It's a sport tankard. Love it. Right, let's crack on. Probably several times during my rants, by the way. I forgot you put that one in there. Yeah, also, is this a Saturday game?
It says so.
It says so on League Republic. Can somebody let me know, is this a Saturday game? Because it appeared first alphabetically, and I was like, that's wrong. But it said it was a Saturday game. Can someone let us know? And if so, are Leicester live streaming it? Because they normally do these sort of things. Because then in non-alphabetical order is the Tamworth Phoenix game, which apparently kicks off at 1. So yeah. If anyone can actually let us know about that, that'd be ideal. But yeah, our first game is Tamworth Phoenix against Sheffield Giants, and I'll probably take this one first because there's only going to be one winner of this game. Tamworth Phoenix, in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah, and the thing is that I kind of feel sorry for Sheffield because obviously something horrible happened last week, and
Yeah,
I guess that they just were not in the right mind
which is which is
to
absolutely
play.
understandable.
It
Yeah,
is, yeah. To then have to go away to Tamworth is just as rotten. So, I don't see this going well. I think Tamworth will win this. However, onside kicking at 92 up is ridiculous. I seen someone say, "Oh, but they need to practice these things. Practice it at 50 up. Why would you practice it at 90 up? Like, you're
the
just
thing
being
was,
horrible."
what I was reading was it was the last kick of the game.
Honestly,
There was like 3 seconds left in the clock against 90 points up against Sandwell, and Tamworth onside kicked it.
that's you being a horrible bastard. It is like if you do it 50-0, 40-0, anything like that, fine. You're practicing for 90-0 with the last couple of games. Come on, man. Like,
yeah, Aaron, this is what we've seen on League Republic, but I've not seen anything advertised about it. But
Saturday Night Lights.
Saturday Night Lights, love it. Look, Tamworth have got better and better as the year went on. Their offense really kicked on, and they've seen the benefits of that. And I don't know, because I believe, because I believe words have escaped me. That it's gone. Thought's gone. It took me too long to get the words out. I can't even think what I was going to say. I was talking about something to do with Tamworth, and now it's gone from me.
They've got the London Warriors in the playoffs.
I believe that the playoff structure hasn't changed for the Prem. That's what I was going to say. It was going to, and then they changed their mind because the Prem team sort of stood up and went, no. So yeah, it looks like they're going to be playing the Warriors, because have Manchester played all 10 games now?
No, but no. They can't. I don't think they're playing this week, are they not?
Yeah, so a result either way could flip it.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
But if Manchester win, then obviously Tamworth are going to play the London Warriors. And to be quite frank, looking forward to that one, actually. I think that'll tell us a lot. It'll be interesting to see, which would also set up Bristol against Manchester, which is going to be an absolutely phenomenal game, I think.
I think everybody's looking forward to that.
Do you know what? Because it's different, right? There's that element to it as well. Like, it is Manchester against Bristol. I mean,
I think it's because it's different. It looks like it's a good fixture anyway, and because I believe they wouldn't play each other last year when they had the chance to, which makes it even better.
Yeah, but yeah, back on this game anyway. Yeah, Tamworth Phoenix should come out of this quite comfortable. Next up is the Birmingham Bulls against the Halton Spartans. Do you know what? Both these teams have had good years. Halton had the issues during the COVID season, which other teams had, but they elected to stay and grind it out. And grind it out they did. They've worked their asses off, and they're safe in the division. And, absolute kudos to them. Massive respect for what they've done this year. Birmingham obviously made the jump up to Division 1, and they haven't looked out of place. But as we said, we didn't think they'd look out of place in Division 1, and they haven't. They've ran some teams really close. Yeah, they've had some big defeats, but they've had some big defeats to some really good teams. So yeah, both teams have been really good. I do think the Bulls are going to win this game. I think it'll be quite tight. But yeah, I think being at home this late in the season, I think the Bulls will win.
Yeah, I'd say I think you're right along that lines. Is that Birmingham have actually ran some teams close this year. They've had some really good games. Halton, they beat Shropshire twice and looked decent against them and struggled against the bigger teams. But this is like a more even matchup. But for me, you're right. The home game advantage is a thing at this time of the season. I think Birmingham will take this one.
2 for 2 again. Edinburgh Wolves against the Merseyside Nighthawks. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, well, again, it's hard to tell with Merseyside with the Giants last week. I say we're obviously going through something there, but that is a huge turnaround from the first game. Edinburgh beat them 44-0 away from home. I can't see that being the case this time. Merseyside surely have to run them closer here. I know it's a long way up to Edinburgh. I think Edinburgh still win this one. I think they have got the firepower where they need it, and they've got a good defense. So I think they win this one, but I don't think it's going to be by anywhere near the margin it was last time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can't see a repeat of that result. And I think it's been such a what if year for Edinburgh. I know they got a new coach in, and he's well known, well respected, and he's clearly moving the program in the right direction with regards to the results they've had this year. But there was a couple of games, like the games against Manchester and Tamworth, where you thought they can win one of these. They could be the playoff contender, and it just never came for them. And yeah, they're going to end up sort of that mid-table, that third place, I believe. Anyway, I think this will be a far better game than the 4-0 at the start of the season, but I still think Edinburgh will have enough to win, and I think they'll want to sort of end on a high as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's for... what game was that? I think is that for Edinburgh? Is it Wolves a bit closer than last time?
Mm-hmm.
Birmingham Bulls. That's the one you were speaking about in the first place. Yeah, home field. Essex Spartans against Sussex Thunder. So is this one off?
No. Just the refs have been pulled into Premiership fixtures.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, as we said, like Sussex. I appreciate it's only highlights, but if you watch the Sussex Thunder highlights, they're not a bad football team. They have really struggled to put it all together and get results this year, which is why they're going to be relegated, but they are not a bad football team.
Anyone in Division 2 seeing Sussex coming in there next year is going to be like, oh, God.
Sussex are going to be instantly one of the favourites for Division 2 next year.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that. I think they're in an insanely hard division as well.
They're in a horrible division. I love and hate this division. Every week I think I've got it sussed. Power rankings. Nope. Someone upsets somebody.
Yeah.
Every week.
But it's probably the best division in any of the leagues. It's an outstanding division. And likewise, as we spoke quite highly of Birmingham, spoke highly of Hull, and Essex as well have done a really good job in their first official year in Division 1. They've really stepped up. They've had a couple of tough results. But again, we're talking about just how brutal that division has been. And I think they've done a really outstanding job. I think for this game, I think the Spartans will still have enough, but I think this could be really close.
Yeah, see, I don't. I think Essex will win this one by at least 3 touchdowns. I think Essex have shown at times that they are really, really good. Like they beat Wembley at home. They ran the Cats really close in the first half, and then the Cats showed their true colours in the second half. But yeah, I don't think this will be close. I think Essex will win this one fairly comfortably.
Yeah, same as we were saying, Aaron. I think they'll do well. Don't think we'll have an upset in this game.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen some highlights of Portsmouth, and they're decent enough. But I think the thing that stands out for me is when I'm watching the highlights from the Thunder game, is they move the ball. I think at times they've just lacked that finishing touch. I haven't felt the same about Portsmouth in the games that I've seen them, but it's not much, so I'm speaking from very little knowledge on this aspect. But yeah, it's 2 solid teams, and Portsmouth, again, decided to plug it out this year, and they've done well, but they are going to be relegated in the end. But yeah, it's two tough teams going into the South again to keep an eye on. Who have we got up next? The Glasgow Tigers against the Yorkshire Rams. I think it'll be interesting to see how the Rams react to this. They should have more than enough to win the game, but after last week's defeat to the East Kilbride Pirates, their season's now over. So will there be a bit of a hangover for this game? Maybe.
Certainly will be afterwards on that bus. That'll be at the end of the season game. If they go in Glasgow and win, that bus will be a hangover bus the next day, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think the Rams have been sort of one of those teams that have really stepped up into this year and fallen just a little bit short. By the way, I would like to point out that the East Kilbride Pirates named their quarterback the MVP from the game. I would like that MVP nomination. Thank you very much, because we've been telling you for 3 weeks to start him as your quarterback. If there's an MVP out there, he's sitting right here. All right, I told you needed to play him to win the game, and he scored twice on the ground. And the Rams social media was absolutely gushing about him, and he got the MVP. So yeah, I'll take that bottle up here. Thank you very much. But yeah, Glasgow looked like they were as good as down. They were getting battered left, right, and centre. And then they turned up and out of nowhere, hung like 30 odd points on Inverclyde Goliaths and flipped the switch. Sorry about the dog. And it was a bit of a surprise in the end, I guess. But at the same time, I think they've done well to do that. This is one of those games where I could be tempted to pick Glasgow, but I'm not convinced Coach Shaw's going to let guys in the Yorkshire side switch off, even at this point in the season.
No, I think you're right. I think they'll want to go finish the season strong, finish with a 7-3 record. It's good for recruiting for next year to know that there is a likelihood that either East Kilbride or Northumberland won't be in the division next year. I know depending on playoffs and stuff, but realistically, it's likely that one of those teams won't be in the division next year. So then you're saying, well, we had a 7-3 record last year. We're just missed out by, I think, 6 points against Northumberland to have the head-to-head. Let's recruit another few boys going out next year, and we'll be one of the favourites. So I think you're right. I don't think you'll let them take the foot off the gas. Glasgow, on the other hand, will be going, let's try and end our season on a high. Let's have the biggest squad of the season there. Last home game. But either way, both teams should go out, play a game, and then they'll have a swally afterwards for the end of the season, and that'll be their year. So you never know. You never know if Yorkshire aren't in the right frame of mind. If a few players have decided, well, I'm going to go on holiday this week instead, Glasgow come with their strongest squad. You never know. But for me, it's going to be Yorkshire.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of agreed on that one. You're absolutely right. They will be interesting to see in a year, because the beauty of BAFA and British American football is that there's absolutely no reason for most of the shenanigans that goes on, and the predictions are an absolute farce at times. But no, I do believe sort of those two teams will be quite strong, particularly Sussex. Thank you.
MVP.
I like the MVP, the MVP shout for me. I mean, like,
it should be pundits though, but yeah, I get you.
I drove the point home often enough, I'm going to be really horrible here, Russell, and I'm going to say I'm assuming this is somebody not from my era. But yeah, he probably does sound like that. Oh, he keeps moving. Oh,
it's getting cold there. Sorry,
he just disappeared. Hertfordshire Cheetahs against the Bournemouth Bobcats. Now, Hertfordshire have secured the playoffs. I'm not sure they're definitely the number one seed. Seeding, God knows how it's going to work. When I say number one seed, I'm going to assume first place in their division, that the divisions, they actually sort the playoffs. So call me an optimist, which no one has ever called me in my life. But Hertfordshire still need to win to top the division. they won again against a common opponent. The thing with playing a team like Portsmouth for Hertfordshire is they've played each other so many times over the years that you're never really going to see like a 50-point blowout, right? So, don't necessarily look too much into the tighter score there. But what I will say is, the offense, I believe, put up all the scores again. So that's 2 weeks in a row. I think the offense have put up 3 scores, and that'll do it. That's enough, right? That's what they need to do. I already spoke to Coach Barnes and told him that he's letting us down with his lack of defensive scores going on just now. He's kind of, I think that's 3 games without a defensive touchdown. He's having a shocker now. After the early start, but yeah, I mean, again, Bournemouth are one of these teams that have stepped into Division 1 and they've looked like they belong. Hertfordshire look like they're that top tier team, but they need to kind of make that statement going into the playoffs. And I think right now we won't know any more about the Cheetahs until the playoffs, because we need to see them against the top tiers from the other divisions as well, I think.
Yeah. It reminds me of Trent Dilfer for the 2000 Ravens. I need to put up 1 touchdown, I know we'll win the game. That's how I feel like the Cheetahs are like, put up 2 touchdowns and your defense will keep you there. Now, Bournemouth, I believe, still have a slight chance at playoffs. Okay. So they still have a lot riding on this. So I would think that they'll be really up for this game. But I don't think they'll have enough to beat the Cheetahs this week. I think the Cheetahs will be in the mind of, we need to win, we need to maintain our seeding, and I think they'll play a good game, and I think they'll beat Bournemouth here. But I think it'll be close. I don't think it'll be a one-sided affair.
Again, yeah, Aaron, exactly what I'm saying. They're another one of these teams, like Bournemouth and Birmingham and that they've looked good. Essex, they've just not looked out of place. Going into Division 1, so they have been impressive this year, which is great to see. It's one of those. I mean, it's not quite as bad as it's like if this team wins and this team loses and this team loses and this team loses or whatever. But I mean, I can't see it, to be honest. I think they don't get the win against Hertfordshire, to be honest. Yeah. Lancashire Wolverines against the East Kilbride Pirates. Now, again, East Kilbride are locked into the playoffs. They're not quite locked into top of their division. And if it is the seeding, then I have absolutely no idea.
Basically, East Kilbride can't afford to lose, because if they lose, Northumberland hold the head-to-head over them. So they would jump them, which would mean that if it's one way, then East Kilbride will play Northumberland anyway, but they'll play them at Northumberland rather than East Kilbride. But if the seeding's the other way, they would play Leicester instead of playing Northumberland.
Yeah.
So at the moment, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4 seeding, then Northumberland will play Leicester at the moment. But if it's not and it goes in division, then East Kilbride will play Northumberland anyway. So realistically, it would be huge for East Kilbride to know, realistically, because they could decide, well, let's just rest our players. It doesn't really matter. We'll just win just, and that'll be it. But the last thing is, you don't want to lose, because if you lose, then you give that home advantage to Northumberland either way. So I can't see them taking their foot off the gas too much here.
Well, we've all been pop-aloft.
I thought Bournemouth beat Rushmore in the second game.
Did they not split? But was it not a head-to-head? Did Rushmore win by a bigger margin on the head-to-head? This has been the absolute statement of the year. Definitely, anything can happen. So with regards to this game, I can't see the Pirates taking their foot off the gas. Lancashire concede a hell of a lot of points a lot of the time, and I think the Pirates win this game quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Nope.
I thought it's a question mark.
Yeah, well, we didn't know at the time, eh? London Blitz against Bristol Aztecs. Now, I'll tell you something. I'm really disappointed that this game no longer matters because
Agreed.
Bristol can't move up. Bristol can't move down. And they'll know that they are either going to be playing, at the moment, the Manchester Titans, or if something really bizarre happens, the Tamworth Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think they rest their players this week.
Well, I would.
There's no point in putting your best guys out against the Blitz. So I can actually see this being a massive win for the London Blitz. And people going, what is going on? And not actually realising that, I genuinely think Bristol rest their players this week. I don't see the point in risking them. I know there's personal pride and you want your best record or whatever, but you want your best team fit for the playoffs.
Agreed.
And this game is now meaningless. And I'm hugely disappointed because we would want to make this a game of the week, but it just doesn't matter anymore. I mean, on the flip side, the Blitz players might not be that interested either.
But when we seen this originally, it would have been on our list as game of the week. But now, because you're right, like if they have any common sense whatsoever, they will not play their stars, or at least their starting QB and offensive line. Like they shouldn't. Like they should just save them. But you're right, the Blitz will be coming out, and you'd like to think the Blitz will be coming out to try and beat them. But the Blitz could be the same. They could be like, well, the season's over anyway.
Yeah.
But they've been getting better as the season went on. But there's literally no sense to Bristol putting out their starters unless it's for like the first quarter.
Yeah, and put it this way. If this game ends and it's like a small marginal win for Bristol or for London, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. But if we come back in on Sunday to a 50-point win for the London Blitz, I'll know why.
Yeah, we'll know exactly why.
So I mean, it's one of those. I am like from a pure spectator point of view, I wish this game meant something because I think it'd be great.
Yeah, agreed.
London Hornets against the Wembley Stallions.
Sorry, I'm getting cold.
I noticed. The London Hornets against the Wembley Stallions. Some more Division 1 shithousery. So who beat who last week?
Wembley beat the Cats, which is doing my head in. Which basically means now that the London Hornets could still win the division. So Wembley could still get into the playoffs as well, but they need a lot of help. Whereas I think London can still win the division now because the Wembley Stallion beat the Cats last week. I'm honestly,
the Cats are still in the driver's seat, are they?
They're still in the driver's seat. They'll definitely be in the playoffs. I think. I don't think they can drop out the playoffs. I think they're safe, but they can. I'm sure they can definitely lose the top seed to the London Hornets. But then again, the London Hornets could lose to Wembley heavily, and Wembley would go in. No.
I'm just away to look for you. I'm away to look for you just now.
Chris holds the Britball with the Breens Twitter, and I hold the Instagram account, so I haven't seen the Twitter one.
I think I've seen something about it, but it kind of got lost in amongst a lot of the plays and stuff, I think, this week.
As a Cats analyst, I would assume that he knows exactly what's happening.
He knows everything. That's kind of the fun of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Where are you? Here you go. So, this is class. So, if the Hornets beat the Stallions, the Cats would be 8-2, the Hornets would be 8-2, and the Stallions would be 6-4. That's if the Cats beat the Blitz. If the Hornets beat the Stallions and the Blitz beat the Cats, the Hornets would be 8-2 and win. The Cats would be 7-3 in second. The Stallions would be 6-4. And if the Hornets beat the Stallions and the Cats and Blitz tie, then yeah. If the Stallions beat the Hornets and the Cats beat the Blitz, the Cats would be 8-2, the Stallions would be 7-3 and go to the playoffs, and the Hornets would be 7-3 and out the playoffs.
Yeah.
If the Stallions beat the Hornets and Blitz beat the Cats, then it would make the Stallions number 1. The Cats would be number 2, and the Hornets would be out the playoffs.
How many points do the Stallions have to beat the Hornets by to jump them?
I don't think it matters.
It will do, because they'll be a head-to-head. And they'll be the same record.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Get on. That's no. I believe that's the case. So Wembley have to beat the London Hornets by by more than the Hornets beat them the first time, which I don't think was by much. But to then go in. But yeah, there's so many scenarios in this division. Honestly, it's mental. But yeah, if Wembley win, then they're in by a certain amount. If they win by more than the Hornets won the first time, they're in.
But the Cats are already in. So absolute anarchy can still happen. And if Division 1 is anything to go by, then anarchy shall happen.
Yes.
Which will be fun for us all.
But who are you picking?
I can't even remember who I put on the list, to be honest. But
do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me, because I think this was a coin toss.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
Right, okay. The Stallions have already beat the Hornets, that's why.
Oh, right, okay.
I knew there was a reason. Thanks for that.
They must have been the first team to beat the Hornets, where the Hornets were undefeated before then, I think.
I think so, yeah. So who did I pick? Who have I actually picked this week?
It's not loading.
Useless.
My internet's decided to die.
Useless.
Let me look. It's loading now. I think I picked the Hornets, but after the Stallions' performance last week, I wasn't sure. So I was like, who do we go with?
Sean, you picked the Stallions.
Oh, I picked the Stallions. So yeah.
Interestingly, so did I.
Yeah. So this we picked the Stallions, both picked the Stallions, and I think after last week, that's why. And I think it's be a huge loss to the Hornets if they lose this game. They've had a brilliant season. I think if they lose this game and lose out in playoffs, it's a shocker.
I think there's a bit of recency bias, like because we seen the win against the Cats last week. We're thinking, oh my God, Wembley can do this. Wembley can actually win the game. Hell, maybe all the players that went to the Blitz moved back to the Stallions after they realized the Blitz season was over. I don't know. But yeah, I think maybe it is that just makes me think the Wembley Stallions will win this game. But this could be a corker as well. I mean, it's another one. Like, although we picked the Caesars against Falcons, this one could have just as easily been our game of the week.
It was on the list.
It was on the list. It was. It was definitely on the list.
Yeah.
London Warriors against Kent Exiles.
Warriors.
I mean, it doesn't really matter to the Warriors, does it? They've got home field.
Yeah, they just won't want to lose.
No, they ain't resting anybody. I'll tell you that much for nothing. And I think it's been a shame because we really hope to see Kent push on this year, and I think them ended up behind the Thrashers, who've been excellent, by the way, this year, and then obviously Bristol making that step up. Although Bristol were above them before, but you know what I mean. It almost makes the XL season feel like a disappointment. But hopefully they can kind of kick on, but it will not be this day.
Yeah, it will not. London Warriors are easy.
The Northumberland Vikings against the Inverclyde Goliaths with no refs. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Interestingly as well, bearing in mind that not only does this game not have refs, but Inverclyde Goliath must get a tie or a win should Glasgow lose, or they're relegated. If Northumberland win, then they have the chance to leapfrog EK into number 1, or on that side, whatever the hell the playoff structure is. this is not the kind of game you don't want refs at.
No.
This has feisty written all over it, and that is deeply, deeply concerning. I can see this being a lot tighter than you'd expect. I still think Northumberland win, but I can see this being a lot tighter than you expect, and I can see a bit of contentiousness about this game as well.
I think Glasgow are going to hate this. Northumberland are in the playoffs. I think they will know that East Kilbride won't lose. I think they'll bench all their starters, and they'll give Inverclyde the chance to go and beat them.
I would like you to stop there, though, because bear in mind that this is the same person that coaches that team that during the COVID season, when playing Division 2 opponents, went for 2 and onside kicked every single time.
Yeah,
I don't believe he'll rest anyone. I don't think he has it in him. So no, I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, this is not the kind of game you don't want refs for. I feel like that could be walking into disaster. I hope not, but I feel like it might be.
Yeah.
Oxford Saints against Rushmore Knights.
Another one for the list.
Yeah.
Originally, but as the season progressed, it come off. Rushmore seem to be getting stronger just now. They've won a few games on the bounce. Their offense is starting to click. They're starting to put a point. But Oxford are at home. I think it's their final game of the season. They'll want to go out on a high. I can't see Rushmore losing this. I think they are just at the moment proven to be that bit better in this division. And obviously they beat the Cats a couple of weeks ago. So they'll be hoping that the Cats lose and they win. But I think Oxford will go out and give it their all this game. I just think Rushmore might have a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, I mean, Oxford have looked good this year. They've had times where they've really looked like a really good side, where they're not 3-0 or something. I know they played some of the lower down opponents, but it's still not easy to do that. And it's kind of like petered out a little bit, but they're still kind of competing the whole way. I think they'll compete in this game, but I still think Rushmore will win.
Yeah, agreed.
The dreaded Notts against the South Wales Warriors. You want to take this one?
Yeah, I think South Wales are another team that they've had some results this season where they've beat decent opponents. They've ran the top opponents close, but they just don't seem to be the same team away from home. I think Portsmouth are obviously they're going to go down. I think they'll be in the last home game of the season. And I think South Wales will take a big squad as well. I think they'll be keen to finish out the season strongly. So I think South Wales win this one by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
I, on the other hand, think this will be a lot closer. South Wales are not that strong away from home. But neither team has anything to play for, but Portsmouth still seem to be playing for a bit of pride. I think South Wales will win, if nothing else, purely on like physicality side of things. But no, I don't think this will be I think this will be a close game. I don't think it'll be that far apart.
Interesting.
The Shropshire Revolution against the Chester Romans. Well, Chester, if you're going to get that offense up and firing again, this is the week to do it. Yeah, I mean, after, throwing toys out of the pram that they weren't in your top 10 power rankings at the start of the season, Shropshire going down with a whimper. Again, normally I would have thought they're one of the teams that are going to be sort of a contender in Division 2 next year. But I just don't know what kind of state they've been in. I mean, they've been semi-competitive in some of their games, and then in others they've just been blown to bits, and I'm just not convinced by them. But yeah, Chester Romans will win this one going away.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're looking to try and get yourself back and firing on all cylinders going into the playoffs, whether that be against Leicester or be against East Kilbride, you're not going to want your offense sputtering. You want them full force, ready to go. So, yeah, it'll be a good weekend to try and put up some points, but I think they will. I think there'll be an easy win for Chester here.
Cool. We're nearing. We have 2 games left. We have...
Who's Northerns? I've not heard of them for ages.
I mean, yeah, it's been one of the most bizarre things I think I've seen in a while. I mean, between Weak Sauce and the Drizzle, nobody wanted to play Northants this year. And it is absolutely abysmal how long they've went without a game. And if the Sauce decide to actually turn up tomorrow, part of me thinks the game might be a lot closer than we expect due to rust on the Northants side. And part of me thinks they could be very, very, very angry. And this could get very ugly very quickly. And I am tempted to say it's going to be the latter.
Yeah, I would say one thing to Northants, and that's don't lose the head. Just don't lose the head. Like, you'll be frustrated because you're not at games in so long. You'll be frustrated at this team for pulling out on you. Do not lose the head and get folk ejected for your next games. It's too important. But yeah, Northants will win this one easy.
Agreed. Manchester Titans. Well,
another easy pick.
Yeah, I mean, again, Sandwell didn't have to stay in the Prem after what happened during the COVID season. They chose to, and huge admiration to the guys that stuck it out, right? The guys that have decided, you know what, we're going to take our beans. I'm pretty sure they had a defensive lineman playing quarterback against Tamworth at one point last week. Absolute massive respect to the guys that have stuck this out for their team. But that team has a lot of work to do. A lot of work. And, we spoke about teams that are maybe going to go down a division and dominate. I just don't think that's the case for Sandwell. I really hope they rebuild back to where they were, but I could see them dropping again.
I'm not sure they will do that. I mean, they're going to go down into the division with, if anything, most likely with Chester, Nottingham, Hull, and Birmingham. I don't think they'll drop again. I think they'll be fine, but
I hope not. I really hope not, because they really came from the ground up as a good program, but I do worry for them because they're we're talking about them taking sort of having 17 players at home to Tamworth, and it's and they played, just saying, and it is worrying for them, and I really hope they bounce back because it's been so difficult to watch them this year. Yeah,
Titans for me every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying almost, to be honest, the Titans are the team that are going to win this game.
Again, they should rest their players. Rest your players, get ready for Aztecs.
Moly.
Yeah, it's wild, is it? Almost the whole 12-week BAFA season.
I mean, it's just wrong. It's just so wrong.
Yeah, rotten.
But, it's all fun and games, isn't it?
Indeed.
Aaron, because there's no punishment for forfeiting games this year, and we've seen teams that have said they're going to pull out of games because they only have 21.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that this was a Sandwell team that, as I say, had a defensive lineman playing quarterback playing against the Tamworth Phoenix. It's not, surprise isn't the right word I'd use. Relieved. I'm relieved to see a team with 17 guys or whatever it was step up and play. Because again, they could have quite easily probably just turned around and went, nah. You know what
There's
I mean?
Also,
but they didn't.
There's also the other side of it is that there's a surprise in the team have 17 because you're supposed to have 35 members before you even get into the league. So even if you have a load of players away on holiday, you should definitely be fielding more than 17 players. But again, Chris said they stepped up the plate. Great.
Yeah, exactly, and I think they should be commended for that. Not, as I say, yeah, I mean, they should be playing these games anyway, but I think a lot of teams have shown that they're not willing to. So, at least they have. Cancelled, obviously, we're now aware of the Crew Railroaders against the Lee Miners, which is just riot. But outside of that, I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, exactly. But and this is the thing we're speaking about, but at the same time, like, there is certainly a very big difference between playing the opponents that they've had to play this year and Sandwell playing the opponents that they've had to play this year. If it's one of those, like, you should want to play regardless, and as long as you've got enough to put 11 people on the field, then fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it is a kind of credit to these teams, but it shows that there's still a lot of work needs doing going into next year for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and you're saying this is one of the things here again is that your 35 players is supposed to be a minimum. If you looked at Sandwell sideline inside the squad in 2019 and tell me why it's not a surprise there's only 17 of them, because their team was not small in 2019. It wasn't, and it was a brilliant team, and they only just lost out to a Solent Thrashers team who I think had like 70 players on their sideline.
Yeah, they couldn't get everybody for the final.
They couldn't get everyone. So that's why it's a surprise for Sandwell, is because they had a big squad in 2019 and they had a good team. And COVID and whatever else has happened and head coaches leaving and starting QB leaving, etc., has had a massive impact on them. And obviously they're in competition with Tamworth and Birmingham. And anyone who tells me Sandwell isn't in Birmingham, the swimming set at Sandwell today, and it's at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games, so it's getting stuffed. But yeah, they've got competition now with these teams. But they had a huge squad in 2019, so it's horrible to see. But hopefully they bounce back.
But this is, again, Aaron, this is my point as well. I've spoke about so many times, is that everyone wants to just blanket coverage. Bin D2, get rid of it. It's pointless. Or certain coaches using very specific words such as community league, which is very deliberate. There's a huge gap between the top and bottom of D2, and there's some very serious teams in D2 that want to move up the ranks and going through D1 and aim for the Prem, which is why I absolutely hate when D2 just sort of gets this blanket thrown over it that it's our shite and we're all can't be bothered. But unfortunately, people like that exist.
I reckon everybody in our Division 2 power rankings would win games in Division 1.
Ooh, that's quite a good statement. That I like that.
I reckon that would be the case. I reckon they all win at least one game in Division 1.
I like that. I like that statement. So it does. Yes, it does harm D2, but I think, as I say, it's one of those things. There's always going to be a gap, and yeah, you are going to have those casual teams that are only here for the hell of it, or to have a pint with their mates after the game. That's fine, but there's also a lot of very serious teams in D2. There's a lot of good teams that are trying to build their way up. So yeah, that always does tend to hack me off a little bit. The last thing is Game Day Live. You know the drill. Tune in to see the guys taking us through the scores. If you're at a game, update the scores. Use hashtag Game Day Live so the scores can be reported on, so we can keep people as up to date as possible. Because I like scrolling through the scores on a Sunday, and half of you people don't even submit your scores, so you need to sort yourselves out. Because what else am I supposed to do except for look for football scores on a Sunday? So yeah, make sure you're getting them in. Make sure you're getting those results in. Make sure you're tuning in to Game Day Live, and best of luck to teams on Sunday, and play hard, play safe.
Yeah, good luck, guys. Right. Have a good game on Saturday Night Lights for Nottingham and Leicester.
Yeah, hopefully it's streamed. But no, outside of that, we'll catch you guys next week.
See you, bye.